San Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Are you ready? Let's get it on.
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. Brian Alvarez will be with us for both hours tonight. We actually have not had Brian on the show in 3 weeks, which is an all-time record, so we got a lot to catch up on, and we have no shortage of topics. We, of course, did a tape show last week because of Pride, and, well, a lot has happened. Bill Goldberg has now signed with the World Wrestling Entertainment. Kurt Angle's career is in jeopardy, and we may be seeing... I don't want to say we may be seeing his last match because that sounds so negative, but we may. You know, I'm trying to think that we're not. This coming Sunday, of course, WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. Also this Sunday is Bob Sapp and Mirko Cro Cop, which is... How do I say this? Would this be the biggest match among wrestling fans that's not actually a pro wrestling match in history? Do you figure, Brian?
I would say so.
I could not come up with another one. Maybe Ollie Frazier, but this is really, you know, it's a pro wrestling angle, though.
Yeah.
You know, the pro wrestler Hunter against the baddest pro wrestler on the planet.
The meanest man and the scariest man in the world.
And the best rapper.
That's right.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know what? Hopefully, you know, I've been trying to get Bob Sapp on the show since day one. And, of course, it's impossible. But he's fighting in Las Vegas on May 2nd. So maybe April, K1 will actually let him do the show. We'll find out. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. Pride was last Sunday. Awesome show. We can talk about that. Also in the news this week, on Wednesday, Hiromichi Kodofuyuki passed away from cancer at the age of 42, and that was sad. And the next morning, Sailor Art Thomas passed away at the age of 79. And Brian, I know Art Thomas was way before your time, but do you? I mean, I don't know what you've heard about him, but when I heard his age, you know, one of his friends called me, you know, right after he died, and I had known that he was going to pass away, although I didn't know it was going to be this quick. But they said, you know, that he was 79, and I freaked out because that guy in his 50s had a physique like I mean, this man was, I mean, you know when you hear the term genetic freak?
Yeah.
This man was a genetic freak. I mean, it's like Sergio Oliva or somebody like that. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Sergio Oliva, right? Yeah. I mean, because he had this physique. He ate whatever he wanted. He trained whenever he wanted. He never had like a set routine because he was always working a full-time job and doing pro wrestling. And he would be in his 50s, and he still, I mean, like late 50s, and still had a good physique. He was starting to get a little bit soft. You know, when he was like 55, 56 years old, we thought he was just, you know, like turned 41, 42. I mean, because nobody knew his age. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. There's just tons to talk about. Anyway, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here for 2 hours every Sunday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific Time on the Sports Byline Radio Network, Sirius Satellite Radio Channel 123 as well. And there you go down our list of subjects. Okay, we're going to start number one. Brian, Bill Goldberg in WWE.
Disaster in the making or disaster in the making?
I think it's a disaster in the making. Okay, so now the next question is, how long before the blow-up, and how big a disaster?
Well, they've done various things over the last, in fact, ever since the XFL, that I thought were foolproof ideas, such as the invasion, and I believe that every single one of them has failed. In fact, I can't think of one...
The brand extension. I'm just teasing, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of even one. I mean, I guess... No, I can't even think of one. So I think that this is a disaster in the making, and that Goldberg will last a short time, and then everything will fall apart. And then, unfortunately for Goldberg, his legend will have been tarnished. And
I think it's already been, in a sense.
Well, I mean, with Chronic or whatever.
Oh God, no! I wasn't even thinking of that.
It can be.
Now it's really tarnished right about now.
But at least, like I think for the vast majority of casual fans in this country, when they think of Goldberg, they think of the dude that killed everybody in WCW, and that's what they will remember. And unfortunately, he's going to come back to this company, and he's not going to kill everybody and run rampant through the company and go on a big win streak and then face the top guys and beat many of them and then lose in the end. Instead, he will probably come in and lose within a matter of months, and it will be all over.
I think that this is so easy to book. I mean, it actually scares me how easy this is to book. And when it's said and done, I'm going to be I think I'm going to end up being so upset because this is going to be the proof of if this doesn't work, okay, this is going to be the proof of the incompetence of the writing staff. But I think they're already on the verge of blowing this one anyway.
Well, the thing is...
You're right, it's not the writing staff because they just do what they're told. I know.
Well, no, this has nothing to do with that. This is more with the booking of this. I remember when the invasion was taking place, there are a lot of people that put down wrestling fans as not being very smart or whatever. And I remember
they're smarter than MMA fans.
Oh, yes, they are.
Some of them, anyway. Some of them.
We got like hundreds of emails when the invasion was first beginning, when WCW first got purchased. We got hundreds of emails with booking ideas. And I swear to you, I don't think we got one email that had a worse idea than what they actually did.
You know, I was reading the Hardy Boys book this week, which, by the way, is very good, and if you're a WWE fan, it's worth reading because it's got a lot of inside stuff in the last couple of years because all they do really is talk about the last couple of years. But I was reading the part about the post-invasion period, right after it, and it's just interesting because you just see everything that was wrong because, like, they're talking about that time when you remember when I think they were in Madison Square Garden. I'm almost sure, but it doesn't really matter what building they were in. When everybody beat up Palumbo and O'Hare.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, they're talking about that, and they just all beat up Palumbo and O'Hare. That was like their initiation, except the fact that Palumbo and O'Hare should have beaten up all of them because it was an invasion.
Oh yeah.
I know, but anyway.
The problem is too much of this stuff ends up being done on TV. You know what I mean? If they wanted to initiate all the WCW guys, they should just take them in the back when the cameras were up and beat them all up, and then did it on TV the way it's supposed to be done. But look at how many times we've mentioned people getting punished on TV, and so we have to sit and suffer through it. And that's a perfect example. Goldberg's going to have to pay his dues probably on TV, and that will be the end of him.
The only thing is that they're investing a lot of money in him.
Yeah, but look at okay, think about this, though. Look at all the money they invested in the Big Show. This was back before the XFL when they still had a clue. All this money they invested in the Big Show.
And they had him lose to Steve Austin right away.
Yeah. Like his third weekend, he lost to Steve Austin.
Well, they thought that,
How he get the rub being squashed by the top star?
Yeah. That is what they thought. Because he could hang with the top guy, that makes him a bigger star.
And that would have been one thing if they would have learned a lesson from that and not ever done it again, but they just kept doing it with everybody else. So I don't think they've learned any lessons from the invasion, so I don't see Goldberg being used any better than the invasion guys.
Do you remember, because I remember you saying this on the show, it's now been 2 years, when the invasion started, and we were talking about that either they were going to bring in Bill Goldberg and Ric Flair, or they were going to fail, or eventually they were going to bring them in, and after they fail.
Yeah.
Which is what they did.
They were going to get him,
and
no matter what, they could either do it when it would mean something, or do it later.
And the other thing is that, again, I don't know the number that they're paying Goldberg, but I can almost guarantee that it's more money than they were going to pay him if they had gotten him in 2001, I should say.
Yeah.
And they blew the invasion anyway. So Anyway, well, Sunday's WrestleMania. And
well, you could look at it this way, that they would have killed Goldberg very, very badly then because the entire invasion flopped. And potentially they could have learned a lesson and he may be killed less this time around.
Okay, you're right. I don't believe it. Anyway, WrestleMania is Sunday, and let's go through this show. It's very interesting because the more hype I see for the show, the less interested I am in it.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan.
Very backwards.
Yeah, I know. It's not supposed to.
They would have just announced the card like a week before the show. I think it would have been better than what they're doing.
Yeah, McMahon and Hogan, I have no interest in, and they push it so hard, and they allow it to be buried on TV, like what Bob Costa said, and they don't even know they're burying it on TV, which is scaring me. Rock and Steve Austin, I was so excited about Rock and Steve Austin 2 months ago. When I first heard about it, I thought, oh man, that's going to be great, and it's just, Austin is not Austin. I don't think everyone's picked up on that, but I think that more people are each week. And Rock is Rock's going to go out there and sing tomorrow night in Sacramento, which, well, we'll see. I guess he's going to get the guitar bashed over his head by Austin, but,
Or Hurricane.
Yeah. Oh, please don't say that.
Okay.
Because you're right. I just know that somebody in that meeting said that, and somebody else might have said, that's a better idea. I hope they didn't. Anyway.
Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah. Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, which is probably the most important match on the show, not as far as ticket selling, but as far as the future of the industry, in that Kurt Angle cannot get hurt in this match. I don't care if they have the worst match in the history of the world. He cannot get hurt any worse in this match because he's risking his career. And I know why he's risking his career. They can say whatever they want. It's for the money because he's afraid he's not going to come back and he needs this and he wants the WrestleMania payoff if this is going to be it for him. But, boy, I just hope he can come back, and I hope he doesn't hurt himself, and I hope he's not making a mistake on Sunday.
And, I was thinking that this is the worst match for Kurt Angle, because I would at least feel better if he were in there with Rock or Hogan or somebody like that, but I just know that the bell's going to ring and he's going to be on, and I don't think he's going to forget about the neck, but he's going to be going as close to 100% as he can go.
Oh, because he's been waiting for this match more than Brock, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this has been, this is a match he wants because he's been telling all of his amateur friends that, they're going to do a demonstration of amateur wrestling that no one's ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's going to, you look at Kurt Angle's background. I was just reading up on that this week, and he blew out his knee 4 days before the NCAA tournament during his junior year and took second, okay? When he was going in the national championships in 1996, he broke his neck and the next day won the championship, okay? We know he won the Olympic gold medal 4.5 months later. He went the day after he broke his neck and won the championship, and 10 weeks later won the trials to get on the Olympic team. Mm. So this man, I'm not saying he's fearless, but what doctors have told him he can't do, he has a history of not listening to.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not...
And he's never really paid a price for it, so he has no reason to not listen to it this time.
That's right, but this would be a horrible time for it to backfire on him, because sooner or later when you play that game, it does bite you.
Yeah. And Brock is such a scary man, and, I'm sure he's the nicest man before and after the match. When the bell rings, I just am afraid he's going to kill him.
I don't think he's going to kill him because I think he's going to be so scared not to.
Yeah. But still. Look at this, though. Look at the cage match that they had when everybody already knew that Angle had a bad neck. Brock still threw him into the cage, and he was throwing him into that cage very hard.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I didn't see that as like, oh, he's being gentle.
Yeah, but he didn't know. Brock didn't know then how bad the neck was. He knew it was bad though.
Yeah, but he knew it was bad, and I wouldn't even have touched him.
Yeah. Hunter and Booker T.
They've killed that one dead.
Okay. Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, which may be the best match on the show. Maybe.
Yeah.
Got three-way for the tag team title, for the SmackDown tag team titles. Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas defending against Rhino and Chris Benoit and Los Guerreros, which also, on paper, very good match. Mm-hmm. Cruiserweight title, Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio, which if the crowd will get into it, they'll probably have a fantastic match. And women's three-way, which don't need to talk about. Undertaker and Nathan Jones against A-Train and Big Show, which I never want to talk about. And a couple other matches they'll probably be announcing this week. Anyway, we're going to head to a commercial break. We're going to come back with your phone calls. You can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY. We don't have any lines open, but as soon as we get rid of a caller, you can jump in. And we've got so many more topics to talk about as well. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.
Hey, this is Bret Hart. It's Wrestling Observer Live with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Two guys who eat, sleep, and drink pro wrestling, even when it doesn't taste good.
Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And if you are interested in a subscription to either of those publications, Figure 4 that Brian puts out every week, and that's what it's called, Figure 4 Weekly. And believe it or not, there are many people who don't make that connection. Yeah. And the Wrestling Observer newsletter, you can always go to...
And those people all had better booking ideas for the invasion.
You can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com, and there's info on this week's issue. This week's issue of the Observer, really, you should gaudy way to get. God, I hate when I have to plug the thing, but I worked really hard on this week's issue, and it's one of the best ones in a long, long time. I mean, they're usually pretty good, but this one's, especially if you're interested in history of wrestling of the mid-'70s to the mid-'80s WWF, because we got tons of stuff, and most of it, or a lot of it, has never been written about anywhere before. So should be, as far as like the championship reign of Bruno Sammartino, Billy Graham, and Bob Backlund. So for those of you
The first part was very good.
Second's better than the first.
Okay.
So, and what else was in this week's issue? Oh, and a bunch of stuff on Pride as well, and Bill Goldberg signing, Kurt Angle's injury situation, just a lot of different stuff. There was one thing I wanted to get to before we... Oh, yes. Okay, you got to make your prediction on Bob Sapp and Mirko Cro Cop.
Oh, no. Bob Sapp.
You're going to miss another one?
Hey, what are you talking about? When's the last one I missed?
You missed Nogueira's fight, although everyone else did too.
I did.
Okay, you missed Shamrock and Ortiz.
Yeah.
So on the big shows, you're going for 3 in a row.
That's right, and this is the one where I turn it all around.
I don't think so.
You just wait.
Okay, well, I'm picking Mirko.
I was right about Sakuraba, though.
You thought he was going to lose?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't shocked that he lost, but then watching that fight, I don't know how he ever lost that fight after watching it.
I know, it was like, going in, I expected him to lose, but then once the bell rang and he was killing him, I thought, I am so wrong. And then he lost, and I was so right. So
yeah. Was that the fluke of all flukes.
Well, actually, after watching that show, I've just decided that no fighter can afford to ever be cocky again.
Oh, yeah, because the fighters are too good. You can't goof off because they're just going to knee you in the chin.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time where you could be cocky, but those days are over now.
Yeah.
They're over.
And you can't take anyone lightly.
Yep.
Yeah, because you go in there and you think that you're...
That on that Pride show.
What?
That was the story of the Pride show.
Yeah.
The only person who did not take his opponent lightly was Nogueira, and he still lost.
Yeah, but... Oh, did you see that interview before?
He was scared.
Oh, my God. And he knew exactly why.
Yep.
It's like, he's probably studied my tapes. And that's exactly what the problem was, is that he had.
Yep. And it was so obvious, too, because, Nogueira always has his triangle, and he always has these certain submissions, and...
kept going for him over and over.
Yep, Fedor was waiting for him.
And every time he went for him, he punched him right in the head.
Yes.
That was a great fight. And that was, wow, what a great announcing job in that fight, too.
Yeah.
I mean, when that thing, because, nobody knew Fedor except for the super hardcores, but if you had a casual fan watching that, by the end of the thing, they'd have thought, Fedor was like, the toughest man in the world, which...
And he was.
I know. He probably deserves that statement more than anyone else in the world right now. We're going to go to Aaron in Syracuse, New York. Aaron, what's going on?
Guys, how you doing tonight?
Doing really good.
I got 2 things I want to ask you about.
Okay.
First about Goldberg, just because I've read about 840 different things about him. Do they actually have some sort of plan in place for him?
Yes.
Coming in?
Yes, they do have a plan in place.
Is he going to be at WrestleMania?
You know what? That's not 100% decided, believe it or not, one way or the other. Or at least he didn't know about it. I would say, if I'm guessing, I would say he will probably be at WrestleMania, but that's not 100%.
You want a run-in of some sort? And
probably, or some sort of an appearance, yeah.
Rock and Austin match, or no?
It'd have to be there, wouldn't it?
I would think so. You never know with them. You don't know what's going on.
It better not be somewhere else. I'll be getting really mad.
Oh, hey, we forgot the John Cena Open Challenge.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Oh, for WrestleMania?
Yeah, let's squash our up-and-coming top heel on SmackDown there.
If they have one of Limp Bizkit come out and beat him up, that's the end of the...
No. They know. They're not as far out of it when it comes to John Cena as you think.
Okay.
Everyone in the company knows basically that he's the one guy they have who has a chance of being a big star.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not gonna destroy him. I don't think. I don't know who's gonna come out though. They obviously have to have some sort of a surprise celebrity to, for him to get a rub off of. The way I figured this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what happens? Does he beat them up? He better not get beaten up.
Yeah.
I always panic.
Kill him.
Yeah, I know because
He's supposed to be headlining some of the April house shows, isn't he, with Brock?
Yeah, him and Brock's supposed to be the next big program, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask was about Kurt Angle. Are they taking absolutely every precaution in booking this match to make sure that,
it's not like they're not aware of all the problems. I mean, yeah, they'll take every precaution possible. The guy who I'm worried about is Kurt Angle, because once that bell rings, he's not going to be
precautions.
He's not going to be sitting there thinking about his neck. He's going to go in there and go, I'm going to have a 5-star match tonight, and he probably should not.
Right. Now, when is his surgery scheduled for? Are they doing it the week after?
I think so, yeah. I don't know the day because they're trying to keep that a big secret because if the day comes out, then everyone will know that he's really losing.
Is it a more extensive surgery than like Austin and, Edge and Benoit and all those guys have went through?
They won't know until they open him.
Right.
It's supposed to be the same.
Yeah, just because I've read so much stuff about, how bad his neck is.
His neck is a mess. His neck is a mess. I mean, the doctor told him to retire.
Yeah, because I read that he has to get a second surgery within, maybe 3 to 5 years, and that would definitely do him in.
He's going to need a second surgery at some point in life, and probably not that many years down the road. I mean, and will it be 1 year? Will it be 10 years? Again, it's all speculation right now. But ultimately, until they open him up, I'm afraid they're going to open him up and find out that it's even worse because when you realize the injury that he had in '96, that he never had surgery from, and that he never. I don't want to say didn't take care of, but that he came back way too fast from. The odds are, and also that it's Kurt Angle and he's such a tough guy. The odds are the damage is worse, not less than they're anticipating.
Right. The other thing I wanted to quickly ask you was about Kevin Nash, where he fits. And I've read some stuff where they might bring him in as a bodyguard for Bischoff or somewhere along that
I don't think so. I've heard a bunch of ideas for Kevin Nash, and that isn't one of them. Is he
back anytime soon?
Yeah, real soon. Yeah, it could be Sunday.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, that they might do that, but with Goldberg coming in, I didn't know if they'd bring them both on the show or not.
Yeah, that's probably something
that'll be fine.
That's probably something that they're discussing of probably why they wouldn't do them both on the same show.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, very welcome. We're going to go to Tom in Atlanta, Georgia. Tom, what's going on?
Hey, speaking of disasters in the making, is Steiner even on the card in WrestleMania?
No, he's not announced yet. And unless they do like some sort of a battle royal or something just to get a bunch of guys on the card, I don't see him being in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When do you predict he'll be gone?
I don't know that they'll get rid of him. But let's see. Predict when he'll be gone in 6 to 9 months. How's that? I know he's got a couple-year contract, but yeah,
right.
I think they'll get rid of him before. Because I think they're going to have to. He's going to break down anyway.
Right. Do any of the WWE stockholders get the drift that the marriage of Hunter and Stephanie is probably going to be the single worst thing for business? Like, are they kind of...
Not that I've heard, but I'd put it this way, a lot of people in WWE, have certainly said
I do have to say this, that's at least one good thing about the brand extension, because if there were no brand extension, this would be far worse.
That's true, because they're only going to... Yeah, but the problem, what the problem is that they're on different shows.
Right.
Not that, Hunter can't ruin both shows, but you got Stephanie...
Oh.
No, that's what I'm talking about. If there was no brand extension, he would be on top on both shows.
Yeah, he would be politicking
he would
to get...
probably be champion right now, unfortunately.
Right, but Nash...
Yeah, he probably would. He actually would, because if it was him or I think he would be the champion right now.
Right.
So.
Dave, quickly on your upcoming issue, with regards to Superstar Graham, once he became champion, was there a dramatic increase in the rise of steroid use in the industry? Like at that time, or like all wrestlers at that time, pretty much like on the same amount of juice as he was?
Oh, no. He was doing more juice than anyone, or I don't want to say anyone, but almost anyone in that era. The big rise in steroid use, to me, was
the 80s?
About 82 to 84, when Vince took over. Because Vince, everyone knew Vince was a big mark for bodies, so they had to look a certain way. So no, not really. It was, I think that it was, I think it was the rise of Hogan.
Right.
Was really what, but even then, I mean, like when I remember the early 80s, not every wrestler was on steroids, but a lot of wrestlers were already on steroids in the early 80s. So you can't even say, I mean, Hogan's popularity, I think you might be able to say maybe took it from 30% to 80%, more than that. Because Graham, there were guys on, and because of Graham, probably more guys were on, but it wasn't as widespread as it certainly got to be, in 1984.
Right. Final question. I think after the steroid trial, Vince did this kind of commercial saying, you can trust that the WWF at the time, is clean and whatever. And I was just wondering, has the WWE ever posted to the media what their drug testing policy is?
Oh yeah. During that period, everybody had a chance to look. I saw the whole policy. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That was they did real testing for a couple of years there. I mean,
but it's not in effect now.
No, they stopped it in I think it was 1996. They stopped it when they started losing in the ratings to WCW, and WCW had all those big guys.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Thanks very much, Tom. We will be back right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. 2 more questions. We're gonna get you back on the winning side, Brian.
Uh-oh.
Okay. First of all, how many buys for WrestleMania?
750.
Oh my God! You know what I wrote down? 750. We'll see. That's exactly my prediction. Okay. Vanderlei Silva against Quentin Jackson.
Uh-oh. Quinn Jackson.
Okay, I agree on that one.
Silva just got married. That's his downfall. This is not against marriage. It was just so recent.
And he's coming off knee surgery.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be a fight, though.
Oh, yes, it is.
You know what I loved about that was, like MMA people, they hate anything having to do with pro wrestling. And, of course, that fight was built up with an obvious pro wrestling angle. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. And it was really well done. I mean, there was commotion and, it made people want to see the fight more. And they haven't even figured out that it was a professional wrestling angle, have they?
No.
Yeah, unbelievable. Let's go to Jesse in Wise, Virginia. Jesse, what's going on?
Doing okay. How you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, I have a couple questions. First off, you were talking about the John Cena situation at WrestleMania.
John Cena, yes.
Yeah, Cena. I have an idea that they could do with him is that do something with him and Limp Bizkit, preferably having Fred Durst come out there to answer his rap challenge battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then having Cena either beat him in it or
not beat him he can't beat him in the rap challenge. He'll put the guy over in his gimmick, but then Cena beats him up after. That'd be the way to do it.
Yeah, do that. Have Cena do something, beat up Durst. Since that would be a good way to get him over, especially as a face if they ever want to do that. Because
not so much a face, but you want to get him over as a guy that people in the mainstream have a recollection of who he is when he starts coming to your town in a main event.
Yeah, because I know Fred Durst's popularity is mixed at best. That might be a good way to get Cena over by having, in terms of name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second question is about Raven, and I know that I've read that he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement with the WWF when he left.
I don't know if he signed that or not yet. I mean, I know that they sent it to him, but I'm not...
Yeah, what happens if they send it to him and he just doesn't sign it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was wondering, when I read about that, I was wondering why they would have Raven, they would make or want Raven to do that. I mean... They
want everyone to do that.
Yeah.
That's not picking on him.
Okay,
but I don't know that he signed it. I don't know. I almost think he hasn't, actually.
Yeah, because I was wondering if maybe, he knew where some of the bodies were buried with the WWF.
It's not... We all know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just I don't think that they don't like the idea of guys, going out there after, being off the thing and, going to all the media and saying how bad it was, even though they all do anyway.
So this is becoming like a new policy, standing policy?
I think that they've probably had this policy for a long time. It just hasn't.
A few years at least.
Yeah, it just hasn't come out.
Okay. And another question is with the Booker T Triple H match. I was wondering, given how that they've promoted the match in such a manner that Booker T has to win, do you think that he will win?
He better.
I think he will, but I wouldn't bet the mortgage on it because, it's like the company is still booked for Triple H.
Yeah.
And if Triple H, if they come up with this idea, hey, why don't I do a program with Bill Goldberg, and he's going to go, how can I lose to Booker T and then do the program with Bill Goldberg?
Yeah, I was thinking something like that, like saying that Vince could make a bribe to Triple H, saying, you put over Booker T, you give him the belt.
It's not a bribe. But if Triple H is asked to put over Booker T, he will do it, and he will do it without complaining. He'll do it like a pro.
I'm saying that they could,
But it's not a bribe, but he will try and just go, well, maybe I don't think this is a good idea, and they will listen to everything he says because he has that kind of, that's just the nature of the beast there.
And the scary thing, and I have so little trust in him that I actually think these things, is that this feud has been booked so poorly that Booker T has now less over than he's probably ever been. And I can just see Hunter Saturday night going, look at how not over this guy is, so we can't put the belt on him.
Oh, I could too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
And the other one is it dilutes the purpose. The reason I know this because it's been said. Okay, it dilutes the purpose of title changes, of world title changes, to do two on the same show. And obviously, in the Brock Lesnar-Kurt Angle, we have no choice. We can't not do that one. So therefore, doing two doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. But given the fact that there's going to be a backlash against Triple H if he does retain, and the fact that the ratings are already going down further.
Yeah, but Booker T winning the title isn't going to change the ratings, and they know that. And even if Booker T winning, I mean, I expect that he'll win in the end because just the way the promotion built up. But Booker T winning in the long run is going to mean nothing because it's still Triple H's belt. I mean, it just means that, the same, like when Shawn Michaels won. It's like, yeah, Shawn Michaels won. It's like when Jeff Hardy beat Triple H. Yeah, they won, but none of them ever got over, and none of them were any bigger stars when it was over for beating Triple H. It's just like, he'll win and then he'll lose it back 2 months later. What does it really matter? It's not like he's going to be elevated to Triple H's position and Triple H is going to move to Booker's position. That would be putting someone over. That's not happening. But will he lose? I think there's a good shot he'll lose.
Okay, and one last question. I was thinking, you were talking about earlier again, Triple H moving to SmackDown. I was wondering, do you think that might happen in the next couple of months, especially given the fact that you have Austin and Rock on Raw?
Yeah, but Rock's not going to be around for more. Rock's only around for about 6 more weeks.
I know, and the fact that you have Austin, who's
and Austin, we don't know anything about Austin long term either.
Yeah, but I was thinking though that, and given the fact that,
of course, we don't know about anyone long term except for Brock Lesnar because we don't know Angle's going to be gone too.
Because I was thinking this right here scenario that because he squashed nearly every up and comer on Raw, and the fact that he now has Austin and The Rock as competition instead of like showing him up, that Triple H might ask, and with the wedding coming up with Steph, that Triple H might ask to be transferred to the SmackDown roster.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Okay, we got to get running. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye. Let's go to Alan in Deerfield Beach. Alan, what's happening?
How's it going? First off, on the Ric Flair-Eric Bischoff fight, do you know anything, in detail or something?
Well, Flair attacked him, and it was broken up pretty quick, and Flair got a couple punches in, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, is there any, suspension or anything?
No.
And
nothing yet.
Huh?
Nothing yet, anyway.
I heard that they were drinking together a couple weeks before that, so I mean...
Flair and Eric? That wouldn't shock me.
There was heat, wasn't there?
Yeah, Flair and Eric have heat, but that doesn't mean they don't socialize. That if they're around together, they won't drink together.
Oh.
Wait, you know what, though? You heard the story wrong, because I know Ric Flair didn't drink with Eric Bischoff.
He didn't?
Ric Flair does not drink. No, I'm deadly serious. Ric Flair hasn't drank in 6 months. He stopped drinking.
Oh,
so that's why I know that story couldn't be true, yeah. Okay. They might have been in the bar.
They hung out together.
Yeah, they might have hung out together, and he might have been drinking, like, water or Coke.
Right.
Yeah, but they weren't drinking together. Like,
Eric's refuting the fight and saying it didn't happen, of course.
Of course he is. Well, he's told to say that, and I think Rick, if Rick was asked, Rick will not acknowledge that it happened either.
Are they still friends, or what?
They've never been friends.
Oh.
They've never been friends. I don't remember ever a time where those two were friends.
They're associates.
Yeah, they're business associates.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you something. When Graham beat Sammartino, did Sammartino give up the belt because of his health, because of his back and neck, or what?
Sammartino asked out after he broke his neck in the Hansen match and came back. He wanted to give up the belt. So that was in '76.
Right.
And McMahon talked him into staying till April '77.
Right.
For Graham. So it was Sammartino asking out.
So when he was working with Graham, what was their relationship like? Do you know?
They got along real well. Graham was in awe of Bruno Sammartino.
He was what?
In awe of Bruno Sammartino. That was like, I don't want to say it was his idol because his idol was Ray Stevens, but he was, he had much reverence for Bruno Sammartino too.
I also heard some rumors about Gorilla Monsoon, may rest in peace, and Bruno not getting along and him not even going to the funeral. Do you know anything about that?
Bruno didn't go to Gorilla's funeral. I mean, I know that.
Didn't go.
I know that they didn't get along. Yeah.
They didn't get along.
They didn't get along.
In real life.
Yeah, in real life.
Thanks a lot, man.
Okay, very welcome. Let's go to Dan in Chicago. Dan, what's going on?
What's going on, Dave? How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Got a question about Hogan and McMahon. Now, with SmackDown coming up a few days before Mania, and what happened on SmackDown with Hogan and McMahon, with McMahon getting the upper hand, that means the next week on SmackDown, Hogan's going to have to get his revenge. And with what?
Not necessarily. If they're smart booking it, they won't do.
Maybe Hogan won't even be there.
Yeah, or he won't, or they'll just do interviews and they won't do a physical angle.
Okay, so I was thinking because you know how when somebody gets put over on before the pay-per-view, that means that other person wins, and I was thinking that if Hogan puts over.
You're thinking if Hogan gets over Vince on Thursday, then Vince will win on Sunday. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, I don't think so.
Vince is winning on Sunday.
Okay, good. I was hoping not.
I hope not.
Yeah, but you never know with them. With them, you don't know.
No, you do never know.
And my other thing with Goldberg, I'm kind of disappointed. I kind of understand why you guys aren't, putting down the angle with Goldberg coming in with what they've done in the past. But I personally, and then lose to Hunter somewhere down the line.
Well, then I think that we got it. I think we got it right on the money if that's what you think.
Well, I mean, no,
a short win streak. No, Brian said a couple of months. No, if it's like a year or a year and a half, and then he loses to Hunter, that'll probably be time.
Well, I don't think they're going to do it that way. I think he'll lose every now and then, but I'm just saying.
Well, then he's not going on a win streak. Then he's not going on a win streak if he's going to lose every now and then.
Good point. Okay, my one thing is that I wanted to talk to you about with the Austin thing, and I was wondering what your thoughts on that. When he came back, everybody was cheering him, in the stadium, and I went to the bar and everybody was cheering him. Oh, great that he's back, and women were cheering him. What's your thoughts on the fact that, we obviously know what he did with Deborah. What's your thoughts on the fact that we're cheering somebody who would do these things to...
that doesn't...
People have no clue.
Yeah, the majority of people don't really know. But, I've been around wrestling for so long that I've seen baby faces that were really horrible people in real life that the people cheered. And, I guess when I was like 12 or 13, it sort of bothered me. But then when you just recognize the public... I knew it was going to happen. It doesn't surprise me. I don't even think it's he's playing a baby face. Look
at it this way. Austin did something in real life that made the news, but I don't think that a whole lot of wrestling fans were aware of that. Now, if
I don't know about that one.
Some were, but it was months ago also, and and it's kind of like faded from memory.
Yeah, but look at this. If you're a heel and you do all this horrible, horrible stuff that they see on TV every single week, and then you turn babyface, the people are still going to cheer you.
That's right.
So it should be no different this thing with Austin.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go head to a commercial break right now. We will be back. We have all the phone lines are up. Well, actually, we should have one phone line down, so you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY, and we'll see you right after the break. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Brian Alvarez, a Figure 4 Weekly. And we're going to have a second hour right after the news, so you can listen in and call in as well. And we're going to go to John.
Gene Okerlund is.
What?
You know how great Gene Okerlund is?
No, tell me. I don't know where this is going.
I was watching when he came out to MC the contract signing.
Yep.
And he made some sort of comment like, if Hulk Hogan loses, he will never wrestle again. And part of me, deep down, actually believed him, even though I know that 99% of what Gene Okerlund says is a lie.
Everything he's
so good.
Yeah, he's good at being Gene. There will never be anyone better at being Gene Okerlund.
No, there will not be.
Yeah.
I was so impressed.
And I'll tell you what, I have no idea why they have Josh Matthews doing interviews when Gene Okerlund is under contract to that company.
Yeah, I know.
It boggles my mind.
I know.
Among many things, we could probably write a book about mind-boggling things in WWE these days.
In fact, I bet if I used to listen to Gene Okerlund's hotline, remember when they would always post news on the internet from Gene Okerlund's hotline?
And it was always wrong.
Even though every week it was wrong without fail, I think that he's so good that if I listened to the hotline, I probably would believe some of it.
Let's go to Jonathan in Savannah, Georgia. Jonathan, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Dave?
Not too much.
I had a couple questions for you, and I know the break's coming up, so if I run short, I was wondering if I could stay on.
Sure.
Okay. My first question was, do you think Jericho is going to go over Michaels? And the only reason I ask that is because I don't know with Michaels, and I would assume Jericho would have to go over. I mean, he's already pretty much destroyed as a character, but save anything that he has.
If I'm going to predict, I'm predicting Jericho wins. But I don't know. It wouldn't
bet on.
What about you, Brian?
I think that, actually, you know what? I kind of think that Shawn will win, but I don't think that Sean would have any problem if they asked him to put Jericho over. I think that's what a lot of people's concern is, that, is Sean not going to put him over?
This isn't the same Sean.
No, yeah,
from 5 years ago, he wouldn't have put Jericho over.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, he's not consumed with wrestling. He'll put him over.
And I think that the match will be good enough that it won't even matter in the end.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a really good match because you got to remember, this is Jericho's hero growing up, or one of them, and I mean, he's going to pull out all stops to have a great match with Shawn Michaels. And Sean, he doesn't wrestle enough to where he's that beat up now, and athletically talented and whatever. I mean, he's still great.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we'll get back to you right after the break. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Okay, welcome to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And we'll be taking your phone calls for one more hour. And, of course, next Sunday is WrestleMania. And it's going to be quite the interesting night there. And that'll make 1 year since we've been back doing this show, Brian.
Wow.
Remember, we started WrestleMania last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Well, last year on radio, and we've been doing, the year before we did it on IATA, we did the WrestleMania Night show.
That's right, that's what.
Yeah, which was actually, I remember that night, WrestleMania 17, that was one of the best shows I ever saw in my life.
Yep, I remember that.
Oh my God. This show isn't going to be WrestleMania 17, unfortunately.
No.
I wish it would. We're going to go back to Jonathan. Jonathan, what's up? Hey.
My other question for you, Dave and Brian, where would you put Kurt Angle? I want to pose the question. Would you put Kurt Angle in the top 10 of all time in professional wrestling?
By what criteria?
I know not on...
If you throw their whole basis of their career, no way. If you're talking about as an in-ring worker, I'd have to think about that, but I wouldn't not consider it. Put it that way. He'd be right. He'd be under consideration.
Okay.
What about you, Brian? What's your thoughts on that?
You're a far better person to make that distinction than me, because you've seen far more than I have.
I haven't seen too many.
As far as people that I've ever seen, he is way up there.
I can't come up with one guy I've seen that I would say is significantly better than Kurt Angle.
Especially if you consider the all-around with the interviews and everything.
Yeah, there have been bigger drawing cards and there have been bigger historical figures, and there have been more acrobatic, smaller guys as wrestlers. But, consistently, night after night. The guy who I would always say is the best ever is Ric Flair. And I really think that Kurt this last year was as good as Flair at any point. But not on interviews, though. Flair was better on interviews. But in the ring, I think that Kurt might be better. And as far as, look at some of the other guys like Steamboat at their best, DiBiase at their best, Bret Hart at their best. I think Kurt's better than any of them. There's
also so much stuff that you have to take into consideration, though, because when you think about Angle, look at all the stupid stuff he had to do on promos that he made into great promos.
Yeah.
Some of the material he was given would have killed anybody, and he managed.
Would have killed everybody. Are you kidding? Except for what wouldn't have killed was Flair.
Yeah.
But we killed.
Imagine if he'd been given
Rock
material every night.
Yeah.
It'd have been unreal.
But he did have some good people to work with.
Yeah.
So that helped him a lot. He didn't work with some of the people that I saw Flair work with, like JYD and Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes all the time.
He did have a good match with Hogan.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Him and Jericho were the two that could do that. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Brian, any more thoughts on Kurt Angle?
I hope I'm going to be there live, so I'm just.
No, I mean Kurt Angle where he stands with the best wrestlers ever.
Oh,
or that you've seen.
That's it.
Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. They'll make it simpler.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay. I'd go with Kurt right now.
Okay. There are people when I think about it, there are people I've seen that are better than Kurt, but there aren't a lot of them. I think Kenta Kobashi at his prime was better than Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiyoshi Tamura probably Misawa. But I couldn't name 10, put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can name 5, but maybe a few. Let's go to Jeffrey in New York City. Jeffrey, what's going on?
Actually, just to add something to Kurt Angle, what about Jumbo Serato?
Jumbo Tsuruta? As far as, I was just doing my algebra on Jumbo Tsuruta. Believe it or not. Okay.
Your algebra?
There's actually a method to this, which I'll get to in a second. Jumbo Tsuruta, night after night, no way is he as good as Kurt Angle because Jumbo Tsuruta was a lazy worker. But Jumbo Tsuruta on his best day,
but he rose up pretty quickly.
Oh, Jumbo Tsuruta, as far as in his first year and everything, being a great worker, he probably was a great worker faster than Kurt Angle, and he might have been the only. Jun Akiyama was great really quick. Owen Hart was great really quick. I think Kurt wasn't as good after 1 year as Owen Hart, but that's kind of unfair because Owen Hart was probably starting when he was 12 years old, and as a rookie he was already far advanced. But Kurt after 3 years was better than Owen Hart after 3 years. Not a lot better, but he was better. As far as the quickest rise, I'm trying to remember where we're. I think Kurt might have been a little bit ahead of Akiyama at the same stage. Jumbo. The thing with Jumbo is that Jumbo 3 years in would be 1975, and I've seen tapes of 2 or 3 Jumbo matches from 75, but week in, week out, I haven't seen them. I'm pretty darn sure that week in and week out, he wasn't close to where Kurt Angle was after 3 years. I think that after 6 months and a year, he was ahead of Kurt. Peak, Kurt week after week, much better. Jumbo on his best day was pretty good. But I think Jumbo's best opponents would probably be Tenryu, would probably be the one that most people would say. And I think that Kurt would have an incredible match with Tenryu. And if the Kurt Angle today wrestled the Tenryu of 1990 or 1988, I think it would be an incredible match.
Or even the Tenryu of today.
Oh, I think he'd have a 4.5-star match with the Tenryu of today at 53 years old. Well, not today, but 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Today he'd have a tough time. But
Actually, I think Tenryu with a head injury and Kurt Angle with a broken neck would still have a 4-star match.
I do too. More than he would with Brock Lesnar. But Jumbo Tsuruta in his prime against Edge, in his prime, I don't think would be nearly as good as Kurt Angle and Edge. So I'm thinking overall, I would say at his peak, Kurt Angle was better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, just a comment, by the way. I don't want people getting the wrong impression because I know I'm sure you guys know this, but when he wrestled with a broken neck, he wrestled with they injected him with something so he could wrestle, but he didn't wrestle with literally a broken neck. But he did have a broken neck.
No, I mean he wrestled. He had a broken neck. I mean, yeah, he was on painkillers, but
painkillers basically, yeah. But
I don't know if he was on painkillers the next day. Was he on painkillers the next day? I mean, he was on painkillers in the trial.
I don't know if he would have been able to get it by the next day.
Yeah, I don't think he was on painkillers when he wrestled Kerry McCoy. I think he was on. I know, he was. I mean, he took. I'm sure he took pain pills. He had to have. But as far as being injected in his neck, that was before the trials when he wrestled Danny Chade, and he definitely was like that then. Yes.
I have another question. I remember reading in Lutez's books there was an incident in St. Louis that changed the landscape of St. Louis wrestling. I think in the 1950s there was a heel and a face. I don't remember who, but they were in a car together and they got stopped by the cops. This was not. I'm not thinking of Hacksaw and the Sheik, by the way. Yeah. They got stopped, and it was in St. Louis, and from there on, I remember it changed. St. Louis wrestling was affected because at that point, in the turn of the century, a lot of wrestling, amateur wrestling immigrants came in. Like a lot of was that the case? Would you say?
I don't know the story, so I mean, it may have happened. Early 50s St. Louis wrestling was pretty strong. Late 50s it was weak, but wrestling almost they had no television in the late 50s. So, when people look back and go, oh my God, they were only drawing 5,000 people, it was like, how they did their publicity? They did mail orders, or not mail orders, but they sent a newsletter out to all of their wrestling fans on their mailing list, and that was their publicity. And they were still drawing 5,000 people every 2 weeks, which is actually pretty impressive, even though you look back and they go, oh my God, they were only drawing 5,000 people for Luthez against Pat O'Connor. It's like, there's no TV then.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point. My last question is about a rumor that was in Bobby Heenan's book from 1983. It said that Vern Gagne offered $100,000 to the Iron Sheik before his match with Hogan to unify the WWF Championship. and he turned it down because of his loyalty to Vince McMahon Sr., but Bobby Heenan never said if that's true or not, but he did say it was rumored. What do you know?
I have always heard that story was true. I heard that story back when, back in 1984, so I'm pretty sure it's true.
It's true? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Great.
Okay. Let's go to Adam in Rochester, New York. Adam, what's going on?
Hey, Dave, what's up? Love the show.
Thanks.
One comment, though. It's, I'm not sure which harder is, what is harder, getting on your show or one of Scott Steiner's veins? My question, which has kind of been touched on already because they get 2 slots ahead of me at first, but I'll go with a different one. What do you think they're going to do? What in the hell do you think they're going to do with Shawn Michaels, the Prayer Warrior, after Mania? Because I really have no idea.
I think he'll be in the same boat that he's in now. I think he'll be back. He'll be on TV every now and then. He'll be wrestling on big shows. I don't know, 2-3 times a year, maybe.
Well, that works.
I'm guessing. I can't imagine.
Another question. Well, are we going to get Goldberg on SmackDown or Raw? Because on Raw it works. Because
I'm guessing Raw. No one's told me flat out, but I'm guessing Raw.
But why? Because on SmackDown they just lost Angle and Edge, and there's really nobody there. They could bring him in, put him as a face, and
Because they already have a Goldberg there, sort of.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that they do want to keep them apart.
Oh, that's just stupid.
At least for a while. No, it's good to keep Goldberg and Lesnar apart for a long time, I think.
Well,
the only problem is by the time they get there, no one's going to care about Goldberg. But theoretically, if you go by the impression that they're going to do Goldberg right, then I think it's real smart to put him on Raw.
But what are the odds they'll actually do Goldberg right? I'm thinking, 7.5%?
Yeah, roughly.
That's being optimistic.
Hey, look, when we know is when he wrestles Triple H the first time and the match goes less than 5 minutes, then we know that they're going to do it right. And I don't think that's going to...
beats him in less than 5 minutes.
Is Goldberg actually capable of going more than 5 minutes?
Well, I saw him in Japan do it, but it wasn't very good.
Well, past punch, kick, spear, jackhammer, he's got, no other moves?
He can do a few, shoot moves. But no, he needs to be short. His matches need to be short. But, he had some matches in WCW, one with Scott Steiner, one with Diamond Dallas Page, that were very good, that went quite a distance. But I wouldn't risk it too often, because he had a few of his longer matches in WCW also weren't that good.
Yeah, yes. I
remember his matches with Sid?
I try not to.
Actually, you know what? They weren't as terrible as you think, but they weren't good.
I actually confused those with the Steiner matches, so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. Gonna rip on Steiner. Good. What do you think about Shawn Michaels, say, 95 at his prime when he's carrying stiffs like Diesel to 4-star matches to, Angle carrying Hogan to a 3.5-star match? Because I personally think Shawn's a little bit better than Angle, but I am horribly biased.
That's a close one.
If I watch my best of Shawn Michaels tape right now, I may agree. But I've just seen so much of it.
You know what, though? Kurt's definitely more consistent, though.
Yeah. Well, Shawn only worked well with people that he liked or when he wasn't high, but...
Yeah, Kurt's more consistent. Shawn on his best day was one of the best I ever saw, but you know what? Kurt on his best day was awfully good, too.
Oh, Kurt. Hey, I love Kurt Angle.
Even on his worst days, except when... how many bad matches have we seen Kurt in? Didn't he had a bad one with Undertaker. He might have had a bad one with Kane. I might have had a bad one with Billy... No?
He had 2 great ones with Kane. Remember that?
No, but I think he had one bad one, too. I know he had a bad one. I saw it. I was at a bad one. Okay? But, I'm trying to think who else. I don't remember a lot of bad Kurt Angle matches.
It's because there's not many of them out there. I have a sinking suspicion that his match with Lesnar is going to suck like water.
Oh, I so disagree. I think that match is going to be scary good because I don't want it to be good, but I just think he's going to go in there and he'll protect himself, but he's not going to lay down and do nothing.
Unless he bumps like a pinball for Lesnar, it can't be that good because Lesnar can't sell for anybody or anything.
Lesnar's pretty talented for considering his level of experience.
I don't know. If he doesn't bust out the shooting star press, it won't do it for me. But
I please hope he doesn't do that.
Why? I've seen the video. It looks hot.
It's awesome, but I just don't want to see it in that match.
Oh.
I don't want no risks, no unnecessary risks.
All right, man. Good to talk to you.
Okay, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And if you want information on subscribing to either Wrestling Observer Newsletter or Figure 4 Weekly, you can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We also have daily news updates up on the site. And if you want to subscribe, this is a good time to subscribe to The Observer because a lot of good issues. And good time to subscribe to Figure 4 because WrestleMania issues stuff coming. And also, are you going to be writing about the EMLL?
Oh, yes.
Well, then it's a real good time to subscribe to Figure 4 with those EMLL reviews. Upcoming. I can't wait.
I was so happy when I got a tape of EMLL this weekend. Two tapes.
So now I got 2 tapes, and just started watching them, and I'm going to be watching them tonight. And I saw Ricky Marvin and Zumbido in a hair versus hair match, and they both got their head shaved because it was a double count-out. That was the greatest double count-out finish I have ever seen.
Yeah.
They were out there, and they streaked to the ring. You know how you streak to the ring to beat the 20, and you always beat the 20?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't beat it, and they shaved both guys' heads. It's like in this country they would shave nobody's head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just when I lose faith in American wrestling, I watch something from Mexico, and I'm so happy.
Oh, it's lose faith in wrestling. Is that what you meant? How does that help American wrestling?
It doesn't.
Oh, okay. There's good. Hey, you know what, though? I watched, Ring of Honor from February this week, and that was tremendous. The February Queen show. Really excellent card.
Did you ever watch the Caveman versus Caveman match?
What's that?
I think it was from Noah, Yone Genjin, and it was the Loser Has to Return to the Mountains match.
That would have been in Michinoku Pro, I'm thinking.
Yeah, the 10th anniversary show. Sorry.
I haven't seen that show.
Really?
No. Why, is it bad?
I hate crowd brawling.
Yeah.
But these two guys brawled into the crowd, and it was just like the count out from the hair match. They got to about 10, and they suddenly realized they were going to get counted out, and they were all the way up in the cheap seats.
Mm-hmm.
And these two fat guys started running to try to get to the ring in time, and they didn't make it. But it was so great. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but it was the only crowd brawling that I've ever seen that I actually enjoyed.
Speaking of nothing to do with that,
and since they both lost, they were both counted out.
They both lost their gimmick?
They had to do the.
I was going to say, Portland Wrestling, what's up?
Oh, I think we're starting again this Thursday. That's what I've been told.
Okay.
So I think they believe that the commission will be gone in 3 weeks, and until that time, we're just going to use licensed participants and that sort of thing, and tape a show Thursday, and everything should be back to normal.
So new show airing Saturday or a week from Saturday, or you don't know?
I assume this Saturday.
Another tape to watch. Cool. Oh, can't wait for Monday. You know what? Because Monday I get Smoky Mountain, Ohio Valley. Let's go to John in Chicago. John, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I'm just watching, I don't know if you guys probably aren't watching.
No, I'm taping the show.
Oh, okay. They just had Triple H on, and, the supposed live Q&A live questions is, of course, Taz and Michael Cole asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Michael Cole brings up the fact, some people have interpreted your attacks on Booker T as racist. And, of course, Triple H, doing the company line, goes about and says, well, only people like you, Michael Cole, will think this is racist.
Only people with a brain, of course.
And Triple H is doing his worst impression of Flair at his height with the $3,000 suit with the belt in his lap and everything like that, and trying to downgrade on the audience and everything like that. Though the audience did get off a good jab with the yell of nose job.
Oh, well, that's a new one, which we'll probably be hearing a lot of. It sounds like.
What do you mean the crowd? It's like in front of people.
Where are they anyway?
They're in. It looks like WWF New York, actually.
Well, they still have the building, right?
Yeah, I guess they could.
Yeah, I thought they had closed that down already, but
they had.
Actually, they're running right now a good promo of Booker T's, showing his background and everything like that. So that's not bad. But Dave, I wanted to get a couple questions to you real quick. I don't know about you. Did you hear Duggan's promo on NWA TNA?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Do you feel uncomfortable, as I do sometimes? I'm not talking about...
I do all the time.
The promos that support the troops or things like that.
I don't mind supporting the troop at all. I don't mind that one bit, other than what makes me uneasy is wrestling's history of exploiting these things.
Right.
And the fact that in the old days of wrestling, it was the most insincere business in the world,
Right.
and it has changed, and it's not as bad now, but sometimes it is.
But it seems like, and I put this with Bradshaw because Bradshaw sometimes.
Bradshaw did the same interview at the exact same moment on OVW TV Wednesday night.
It just seems like with Brad, it just seems like. I don't know if you've heard about the Dixie Chicks controversy,
Yeah. Well, they both talked about the Dixie Chicks, Duggan and Bradshaw.
Right, and it's just like, you can't. I understand there's a certain audience that's I guess their majority as far as wrestling, but there are other people. There are a lot of inner city people who watch. Urban audience. It's not just. I don't want to say this as a derogatory term, but backwoods or rednecks.
Not all wrestling fans are backwoods or rednecks whatsoever, and I think that sometimes a lot of promotions have gotten in a lot of trouble believing that and doing stupid things.
I'm scared that Vince is going to. He's look at the stuff he's put on this year. That he wouldn't take advantage of this.
I think he learned his lesson about war.
Yeah. I think he did about 11 years ago.
With Duggan, the hardest thing for me about the Duggan thing was I just found it so hard to take seriously because he was such a cartoon out there.
Yeah, he was doing it in cartoon. Whereas Bradshaw, I haven't seen the promo in question on Bradshaw. I'll see it on Monday, but I've seen enough Bradshaw promos to know. I'm sure I know what it is.
But you've heard what he was doing on the USO tour.
Basically, I heard. Okay, basically the thing. Okay, but and I remember what he did on September 13th of last year. Okay?
You want to know how that I didn't mind because that came out of frustration, and a lot of people were in shock. But I'm talking about last year when he went over there, and he didn't know what he was talking about. The other people on the tour basically said, "Okay, you don't know what." We're making fun of him, basically.
Yeah. No, the thing with where I get uncomfortable is when in this country you have a right to a dissenting opinion. Right. You have a right to your opinion, and then those guys going out there giving their opinion. It's like that's their opinion, and if that's fine. But I hate when they go, you have no right to a dissenting opinion in this country, because isn't that what the whole idea is? What we're fighting for is the right to give our opinions. So when they were knocking the Dixie Chicks, whether I agree or disagree with them, I totally agree with the fact that they have the right to give, rightly or wrongly, as little as they know and as little as Bradshaw knows, they all have the right to say whatever they want. And I'm really against saying that they shouldn't say what they want to say.
Yeah, real quick, Dave, my question is, with Goldberg signing, do you think Triple H or whoever will, say, okay, Booker T, you're not going over at WrestleMania because we're going to put, Triple H and Goldberg, start that feud up?
Not in those words, but if they're going to do Triple H and Goldberg, I think it's in their best interest for Triple H to beat Booker T at that point.
Okay.
I think they should do that. They should do it then. If that's where they're going, and if the idea is. Because if Booker T beats Triple H, and then they go with Goldberg and Triple H, and then Goldberg beats Triple H, Goldberg, has beaten a damaged guy. Triple H should beat, if that's where they're going. And I don't know where they're going, and,
I don't think they know where they're going most of the time.
The top programs they've known for the last couple of months, though. That's the one good thing about the last 3 months is.
Well, thanks for taking my call, Dave.
Okay, very well.
The first Bradshaw promo in Ohio Valley yet?
I think I've seen maybe one or two of them. I saw the one where he was totally drunk.
Okay, that's the one I just watched.
Yeah. Oh my God. But it was entertaining though.
It was yeah.
It was entertaining, but you know what? What was bad is that he was drunk and he's telling jokes and they were just not funny.
Yeah.
But I was still I don't know. I find Bradshaw entertaining as long as I'm not watching him wrestle.
Exactly. He's a great non-wrestling character.
Yeah. Tremendous. Like backstage doing the APA stuff. I think that stuff is great, but in the ring, I could do without it. Karen in Fort Lauderdale, what's going on?
Yeah, I just had a question, several actually. To start, do you think that bringing Goldberg will end up a lot like Scott Steiner? Because to me it seems like physicality-wise they're both very similar, and as far as where the WWE is going.
I fear you're right. I hope you're wrong. I fear you're right. The difference is that
Steiner's in a lot worse physical shape.
Yeah. Well, but Scott Steiner's a lot more talented as a pro wrestler than Bill. But
he would be if he were healthy.
If he was healthy, no. Bill doesn't have the injuries that Scott Steiner has.
Because seeing Scott Steiner a few episodes ago, just in the back talking to, I forgot who he was talking to, and it just made me realize, wow, they had all this preparation.
Steve Austin, remember that? There he was.
Look where he is now.
Yeah, but that's because the people turned on him. You know what though? If they use Goldberg wrong, the people will turn on him in a hurry.
Yeah.
So it could, if they're not careful, it could wind up like that. And I kind of have this gut feeling you're right.
All right, second question. We're not really talking about it a lot on the Wrestling Observer right now, but just bringing up Matt Hardy.
Yes.
What do you think of him as a cruiserweight? I really feel like I'm almost disappointed in that they're really starting to develop his character, and then they just drop him off, and just I feel like.
Well, they gave him the title, and he's got great people to work with if they do it right. So I'm not at all. I think him and Rey Mysterio,
I feel like they're just going to give it to Mysterio and then continue on building him and leaving.
Well, I think you're probably right that Mysterio's going to get it, but I think that Matt will probably chase him for a while, and they could have a great program if it's not buried.
All right, and one last question.
Sure.
Maybe it's too late in the game, but do you think at all that the WWE will wind up joining back together the two shows? I mean, I heard some guys said that since the storylines have been really bad since the XFL, but I really think that it's gone downhill since they divided the shows up, and I don't understand why now they're going to start dividing up the pay-per-views.
By dividing up the pay-per-views, I don't agree with. Dividing up the shows when they did it, I did agree with, but I quickly realized that was wrong just because of the way it was handled. But eventually they're going to be back together in one. But when that comes, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be soon. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Yay! Welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And we're going to get back to the phone calls. Right now, we're going to go to Carbondale, Illinois, and Brian. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
All right, good. Big fan of both of you guys. I was watching this thing. They say this thing from TNN. It is from the world, they're saying.
Well, then they opened the doors.
I guess so. It looks like the world.
They got to do something with the building.
They're not right now.
I was asking about WrestleMania. I know they were thinking about going probably with Regal and Storm against the Dudleys.
That's what I thought they were doing, yeah.
Well, with the Dudley's back hurt, or what is his back or his neck hurt or something for Bubba?
Bubba's back is the problem, yeah. But I think he'll be okay for WrestleMania because he could work now if he wanted to, but there's no need for him to yet.
Yeah. Well, what's still with Regal? I haven't heard anything.
Regal's got a real bad stomach virus that's they don't really know exactly what it is. But
keep the belts on him or what?
I think that they were going to do something last Monday, and they didn't. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm thinking that they may do something tomorrow night where they'll set up something and vacate. I don't know how they'll do it exactly. Maybe do some kind of a tournament or something with the Dudleys.
That's how you get a bunch of tag teams on WrestleMania.
Yeah, Van Dam and Kane, maybe Morley and Lance Storm or something. I don't know. No one's told me, but I expect they'll do something. Yeah, if they don't do it Monday, then
do that. Do the quick battle royal at WrestleMania. Get everybody in there.
Yeah.
The last two guys do the tag match.
Yeah.
Well, are Kane and RVD breaking up or not?
They look like they were going to, but they've stopped that one, haven't they?
I think they will soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. Let's go to Andrew in Austin, Texas. Andrew, what's going on?
How you doing, Dave?
Doing good.
I just got a quick question. How is NWA TNA doing? I mean, with pay-per-view numbers and gate numbers.
Gate? Well, I mean, it's that their record gate was a week ago Wednesday, which was about 700 paid. So I'm guessing that's probably $8,000. They've usually been doing about $3,500 a week at the gate. Pay-per-view numbers probably bottomed in the 7,000 to 8,000 range. They're probably closing in on 12,000 right now. Those are all estimates because no one really knows the real numbers. So
I'm sorry to interrupt. Have they surprised you with how long they've been around for so far? I mean, it's been close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised in the sense that when they first started, they were budgeting the thing for $250,000 a week, and they would have needed almost 60,000 buys to break even. Okay, if they had done that for a month, they'd already be out of business. So when they rebudgeted it, I mean, and they got a financial backer. So I'm not surprised now how long. If they had gone with the numbers that they were talking about when they started, and they would be around now, I'd have been shocked. But the fact is that they changed their game plan real quick, 5 weeks in anyway.
And one more quick thing. I was thinking about what they were going to do with Goldberg. I have some feeling that they're gonna have Goldberg come out right before the Rock and Austin match and announce him as like the special referee or the enforcer. Have him come in there, ref the match.
I hope not.
I mean, I don't know. Me and my buddies were just talking about this. We're like, oh man, because we also think that the only person who will actually put Goldberg over real clean and make him look strong is The Rock.
And he's leaving.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only one in the company who'll probably lay down and let Goldberg spear the hell out of him and get a quick pin in about 5 minutes. And you know what Triple H is.
No, but you know what though? The Rock will want to go out there and go 15 minutes with him. I mean, he will lay down for him at the end though.
Yeah.
But he'll want to prove that he can get a good match out of him.
Because I don't think Stone Cold's going to lay down to him, because Stone Cold probably thinks that Goldberg stole his gimmick from 5 years ago with the black tights.
As long as people have that attitude, then it's not going to work, is it?
Yeah, and Triple H is going to make Goldberg, only way that Goldberg can beat him is if he hits Triple H in the head with like 8 sledgehammer shots.
Or his book.
And, just one more thing about Kurt Angle.
Yep.
I feel bad for all these big guys like Kane, Big Show, and Albert, because the one guy that they can have good matches with is leaving the promotion for Pop.
Oh, poor Big Show, and yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, Big Show, he had like a 3-star match with him at Armageddon, and you see Kurt Angle doing moonsaults and Olympic slams to him and everything.
Yeah. I don't think Big Show's going to be having another match like that for a while.
Yeah, because now he's going to WrestleMania and probably having the worst match in WrestleMania history.
No, hey, there have been some terrible matches in wrestling. That one won't even be close to the worst. You go back and watch that blindfold match with Jake Roberts and Rick Martel.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Let's go to Travis in L.A. Travis, what's going on?
What's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Hey, I got a question. Is it kind of obvious that Goldberg's first opponent on Raw would probably be Scott Steiner?
Oh, I'd be stunned. I would be stunned. I would think that would be insane. So I would say there's no chance of that.
But actually, you know what?
Wait, gonna turn it? You what? No, don't. There's no way.
For just a first opponent that's at least looks scary that he could just destroy.
That's what I'm thinking. They have nobody else. Who you would put in there? Test? I'd rather see.
I wouldn't even put him. I would never have him wrestle on Raw. That's what I would do.
Never.
No, maybe like 6 months from now have him do a match. Yeah, but for ratings. But no, never for.
Like he could come in and Steiner would yell at him or whatever, and then the first pay-per-view match he'd just kill Steiner.
Okay.
They don't care about Steiner. They can destroy him in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Who else are they going to destroy like that?
It was a quick match, 2 big names.
Yeah, test.
But realistically, I mean, are the fans nowadays, do they really care about Goldberg? I mean,
you got to make them care, and you got to build them up to be a monster, and then they still may not, and that's you just don't know. They still may not.
I feel it's the Scott Steiner thing.
But they cared about Scott Steiner. The only reason Scott Steiner isn't probably one of the 2 or 3 biggest names is because he couldn't perform, and they turned on him when he couldn't perform. But until they knew he couldn't perform, that guy was over.
True.
So if they protect Bill and they react to Bill like they react to Scott Steiner, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
But they won't protect him, I don't think. But we'll see.
Well, if the fans do turn on Goldberg, do you see that his potential being the biggest heel in the company?
I hope so, because I hope whatever they do it big, because everyone knows him, and they know he's. It's the funny thing, even if he isn't good, and this is what a lot of people are missing when it comes to wrestling. Even if you're not good, if you're a star and you're portrayed as a star, people still want your autograph. Even people who know better, they still think that you're a star, a bigger star than Chris Benoit or somebody like that, who's a million times better wrestler. That's how television fame is. And it's, look at Hogan. Look at all the people who hate Hogan, and then when they go to the building, they scream their lungs out for him, and then they go home and they still hate Hogan.
Sure.
I've been to buildings where Hogan's name gets announced and everybody boos.
And he shows up on the big screen.
He shows up on the screen and they all boo, and then he comes out for his ring entrance and they're all on their feet cheering. And it's like, I think Goldberg might be the same way.
True. I have a question. I've always wondered, because I've been a long-time subscriber to your newsletter. I know you can't name names or whatever, but what, if any, is the percentage of any WWF employees, and particularly wrestlers, who subscribe to your newsletter?
Right now?
Yes.
20% of the active wrestlers, I would say.
How many?
20%.
20?
20. Yeah, that's pretty close.
That's cool. And finally, any chance of Heyman coming back on TV?
Oh, I expect it. Yeah, I don't know when, but I expect it.
In what position? Like who?
Managing Big Show and A-Train.
Oh, God.
Well,
can they at least put him with Team Angle or something?
they need to put him with Team Angle, but that doesn't, I don't see that as the plan right now.
Speaking of Team Angle, are they going to change their name to the
That's a good question. I think that the next couple of weeks they're going to have to make that decision one way or the other. I don't know. I don't know if they've even made the decision.
Okay. All right, guys. You have a good WrestleMania week.
All right. Thanks very much. We're going to go to
Team OVW.
Let's go to Joe in Boston. Joe, what's going on? Hello. Joe.
Joe ain't there.
Oh, hold on. Joe. Joe's not there.
No, he's really not there.
Okay, we're going to Richard in Miami. Richard, what's going on?
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Doing really good.
All right. Question. Have you seen the Misawa Kobashi match from a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I have seen it.
How does it rate compared to their other All Japan 5-star out of this world type matches?
Athletically, not as good as their other matches. It's not as quick-paced as their other matches. From a drama standpoint and an emotional standpoint, maybe better than any of them.
Wow.
I would rank it. Those matches.
They had so many good matches.
They had so many good matches. I mean, their matches are some of the best matches that I've ever seen, and this one was one of them. This was it wasn't the best match I ever saw in my life, but it was a fantastic match. It was one of those matches when it's like a Muto match from a few years ago when Muto was having all those good matches. 15 minutes in, you're going like, this is all right, but God, what's everybody talking about? And then when it's over, you're going like, God, this is like incredible.
Right. And sort of on a related note, with all the injuries, neck injuries that the WWF stars have been having, and it's kind of ironic to me that it's like a rash of them after they stopped doing like tombstone pile drivers and some of the head dropping stuff.
Right.
Is it more just the thing is, I see that, and then you see a Misawa Kobashi match where
they did some stuff in Misawa. They did 5 or 6 moves in the Misawa Kobashi match that were pretty high angle drops.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're saying like
a matter of training, or is it just a matter of the wear and tear of working 4 nights a week every week, no time off?
I think it's a matter of luck. And it could easily happen to Misawa and Kobashi, and I'll bet you that if you had a doctor examine their necks, the doctor would tell them both never to wrestle again. Don't you figure that, Brian?
I would not know how that would not be possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean with Kurt, I mean his neck has been a mess for like years.
I understood. It was like,
but the thing is that where he was unlucky, if that's the word, as compared to some of the other guys, and with Edge as well. And this is the difference, is that I don't know if it's the lifting combined with it, although Misawa and Kobashi, especially Kobashi, lift heavy. But what nailed them was both of them. They were in the gym and they couldn't lift with one side of their body, and then they knew they had to get it fixed. And obviously, Kobashi's got the big arms on both sides, and he's never obviously had that. The whatever it is, the disc go to the nerve, and that just never happened to him because you would be able to tell if it did.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're very welcome. We'll be back right after this with our closing comments. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome to the final segment here on Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here for 2 hours every Sunday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time on the Sports Byline Radio Network. We're going to go to Ian in Sacramento. Ian, what's going on?
Hey, not much, Dave. I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the Ortiz-Liddell fight, if that is even going to happen.
I know that Ortiz has not signed the contract as of this afternoon.
Is that pretty much a foregone conclusion that he will, or are they?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what's in his head.
I do.
Yeah, I think that everyone thinks the same thing, that Tito Ortiz doesn't want to lose, and he doesn't think he can win.
Do you honestly think that'd be a tough fight for him? I see him. I think if
he
can take down Liddell, and once Liddell gets on his back,
well, he obviously doesn't think that. If he did, he would be anxious to sign for it because I'm sure they're offering him a ton of money to do it.
Yeah, and where do you see this going if he chooses not to fight Liddell?
I don't know. I think that what would end up happening is that they would strip him of the title, and I don't think they want to do that because They've had enough trouble with the finances.
Do you have any titles left?
Yeah, they don't have. God, let's see.
Heavyweight.
Matt Hughes. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Because the lightweight title's vacant. The welterweight title, Matt Hughes has. The light heavyweight title's Murillo Bustamante, who's not going to come back at this point. The light heavyweight title's Tito. And the heavyweight, well, Tim Sylvia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you see, I know Bob Sapp's huge over in Japan, but he seems like he'd be the perfect guy for the UFC here in America.
Oh, he would, but he's under contract to K1 probably for a long, long time.
By the way, how is Goldberg able to sign if he's...
His Japanese deal was non-exclusive.
Oh, okay.
But he probably...
What happened when they wanted to do a match over there?
He probably has some sort of obligations where he probably has to go back for 3 or 4 more matches. He'll probably have to go.
Huh.
Is what I'm thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anything else, Ian? Because we're pretty much out of time.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for listening. God, we did it against the Super Bowl and the Emmy Awards. And what was that show called tonight? X-Ray?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so anyway, I want to thank everyone for listening in with such stiff competition. And we will be back live on April the 6th. And I have no doubt that on that night that we will have so much to talk about, it won't even be funny based on all the things that are going to be happening this weekend. And anyway, we hope you all enjoy the next week. Enjoy WrestleMania, and we'll be back right after that. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.